far, so good. Now we're streaming. Okay, let's. Okay, Shannon, you could put us on. Okay, this is the matter of Kingsley Clute. Do we know if Mom is out there somewhere? I've got a Galaxy 5.8 in the waiting room. I've got an LG Stylo 5X. I'm going to check and see who those folks are. In the meantime, Council, could you state your appearances, please?
Matt William, behalf of the agency.
Mike Kelly on behalf of Ms. Clute.
Ivan Brown, LGAL.
Judge, I haven't appointed Mike yet. Is that something you want me to do?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to check real quick and see who these folks are. Well, that's not Mom. Sir, on the Galaxy phone, what is your name? Sir, can you hear me? On the Galaxy phone? Or tablet, whatever that is? Does anybody recognize him?
Your Honor, I'm not the worker for the Clute case, but that's Mr. Lemble for the hearing for Dominic Toll. But
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Get off.
I'm going to put him back in the waiting room.
Where's your juice?
At least I'll know who he is now. All right, and I just let somebody in on an LG Stylo. What is your name?
Danielle Patrick.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room, but I'm going to identify you so that I don't have to ask again. All right, right, everyone else in the waiting room has a name associated with them. I've got one that says Brown K14. Any
I
idea
think
who
that's
that
the
might be
worker. I think that's the worker on this case, Your Honor.
on this case?
Yes, from, I think, Wayne
Oh,
County.
okay. All right. Good morning. Could you identify yourself, please?
Me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kenya Brown, Child Protective Services, Wayne County.
Okay, and you are here this morning on the Kingsley Clute matter?
Yes.
All right, I had an informal conversation with the attorneys in chambers before we came on the record. I do see there's an indication that a father was identified at some point by the mother during the proceedings in Wayne County. What information do you have about the father?
Nothing. All she told us is that he's an illegal immigrant. His name can't be on any legal documents. He lives somewhere in Jackson, but she didn't have his address.
And the order indicated that his name, or I'm sorry, there was a handwritten change made to the petition that said his name was Raul Jackson. Is Jackson simply a reference to the fact that Raul lives in Jackson?
Yes.
Okay, we figured that out. All right, I guess we're just going to have to publish. Mom's not present for the hearing. Did you happen to have a phone number for her?
I do. Hold on a second and I'll give it to you. I have to go in another screen. So hold on. Okay, her phone number is 517-962-3421.
Okay, let me try to get her on the phone.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello, is this Amanda Clute?
this is.
Good morning, Ms. Clute. This is Judge LaFlamme. We are on the record in the matter of your son Kingsley Clute.
No, not a boy. It's a girl.
Oh, Kingsley's a girl. My apologies.
It's okay.
We had some information about the potential father of this child. Can you identify who you believe is the father?
Raul,
Raul. Do you know Raul's last name?
Gomez,
Do you know Mr. Gomez's address?
I'd have to drive past his place and look at the numbers on the house, but it's on Stewart. And I don't think, I know he's the father.
You're certain he is the father?
100%.
Okay, does he know about Kingsley?
Yes.
Has he expressed any interest in obtaining custody of Kingsley?
No, and I don't know if he actually could, because he's an illegal immigrant.
All right, well, he has rights. We need to be able to notify him. Would it be possible for you to drive by the house, get the address, and then provide that address to the worker so that we can provide him with notice and give him an opportunity to participate in the proceeding?
Yeah, when I get back up to Michigan, right now I'm down in Indiana. I wanted to speak to you before, without CPS present.
I can only speak to you on the record, ma'am.
Oh, that's fine by me. I don't care if the message gets passed along to them. I just don't want them butting in, interrupting me. I don't want a lawyer. I'm fed up with Jackson County attorneys telling me to sit there and be quiet and not defend myself. And anytime I ask for any kind of character witnesses to be brought up for myself, they say no. That's the reason why I fired the first attorney, and the second attorney did the same thing. Mr. Kelly did it to me.
So,
And I don't quite care for it.
so you don't want Mr. Kelly to represent you?
No, I do not.
All right. Would you,
I don't believe in incompetent attorneys. I just got done dealing with an attorney through Wayne County who was the complete opposite of both attorneys down here. And it astonished and amazed me that he said, you know what? I will take a note from your doctor. I will take a note from caseworkers. Anybody who's willing to stand up and say, hey, you know what? I think she can do it. Give her a try. Give her a chance.
all right. Would you like me to appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter?
How would I go about if I believe they're misrepresenting me or they're half-ass representing me like what Mr. Kelly and Miss Dugan did?
Whenever you are dissatisfied with your attorney, you can certainly bring that information to the attention of the court. That doesn't mean that I necessarily will appoint a new attorney for you, but I will certainly listen to your objection. We have an attorney available this morning. Excuse me, Ms. Rebecca McCluskey, who I can appoint to represent you. And you want,
Is CPS going to be allowed to say, hey, we're just going to terminate?
CPS has the absolute right to request in their petition that we move forward to terminate parental rights. But the decision is up to me. It's not up to them. It's their decision whether or not to ask for termination. It's my decision whether or not there will be a termination.
I don't, my doctor would prefer me to relinquish my rights, especially with it coming back down to Jackson, because he knows my history with CPS. He's looked into the matter and he knows the reason why I feel so strongly against CPS.
Ma'am, at any point in the proceeding, you can request that I accept your release of parental rights. You don't have to ask for that today. You can ask for that at a future hearing. I'm not sure exactly. We need to try to get notice to Mr. Gomez so that his rights are protected, so that he has the ability to participate should he choose.
He's not going to understand anything that's going on inside anything.
Are you talking about a language barrier, or you're talking he simply doesn't understand the legalities involved?
I don't think he's going to understand the legalities involved, and there's an extent of really, really tall barrier of language there.
Well, if there's,
I had to learn to speak Spanish to be able to communicate with him.
we have Spanish language interpreters that will participate in the proceeding to make sure that he understands what's going on. And I can,
Now, if he gets custody of her, is he gonna be allowed to take her down to Mexico?
well, that's a complicated question, ma'am. It all depends on the status of your parental rights, which haven't been determined yet. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Your Honor, there's two people that would like to come into the courtroom. They just sent me a
Oh.
message.
Okay, who's that?
They're the foster parents,
What are their names?
Miss Perry and Miss Stetson.
Oh, so she's living with a couple of lesbians. All right, I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to hear anything from the foster parents. I don't like foster parents. I don't trust the state, and I don't trust justice.
All right, I allowed Ms. Perry. It looks like there's someone else with her. I don't see anyone else signed in. Oh, okay, so they're both present.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Okay, so I've appointed Ms. McCluskey to represent Ms. Clute. We currently are scheduled for a trial and disposition on October 6th at 1 p.m. We'll keep that date on the calendar. However, if we have difficulty serving Mr. Gomez either personally or by publication, it's conceivable that that trial date might get adjourned. But in the meantime, we are going to shoot for that trial date. Is there anything else the court needs to address this morning?
Yes, Judge, I just received an email regarding medical authorization for Kingsley. It appears that Kingsley, I'm looking at a letter from a doctor. Kingsley never received a birth dose of hepatitis B, and it puts her at some severe risk for getting that disease. She also needs some additional testing because of the lack of prenatal care. And Ms. Clute has been difficult to track down. The court's well aware of the history, and I think probably the direction this is headed. So I would request that the agency be allowed to sign authorizations for Kingsley. I can prepare a separate order if the court wants.
Yeah, I'll sign that order. Ms. Clute, certainly it would be first incumbent upon you. Are you still there? Oh, she must have hung up. She said she was going to leave, so apparently that's what's happened. I will sign that order.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, anything else that we need to deal with this morning? Okay, very well. We'll see you back here on the 6th. In the meantime, we will make efforts to get Mr. Gomez served. She says he lives on Stewart Street. Is it Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Would you mind calling her back and see if you can get any more information about the address on Stewart Street?
I will call her, Your Honor, but she doesn't talk to me at all, period. But I will call her.
She indicated she would not know unless she drove by Stewart Street, and she's in Indiana right now.
I did hear that, but I hope maybe someone could probe. Ms. McCluskey, let me give you her phone number.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's 517 9623421. We'll move forward as if we're going to publish, but if we can get a specific address, we'll try to serve him as well. In the meantime, we'll just keep October 6th on as our trial and disposition date. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next up is Dominic Toll. Let me let Mr. Lemble in the room. Well, he seems to have disappeared.
Your Honor, I know in the past we've had difficulties with his audio, so you've just had to end up calling him.
Honor, I spoke with Mr. Lemble after our informal meeting this morning and gave him an update and also have information I can provide to the court. I think we can proceed with the pretrial without his appearance if so.
Okay.
So, Your Honor.
So this is the one where we were waiting on a DNA test results?
That's correct, Judge. And it's my understanding that the genetic testing has confirmed that Mr. Lemble is the biological father of Dominic. And this matter's already on the calendar for September 23rd for adjudication as to my client, and we would ask that it remain. Thank you.
All right, hold on just a second. I got to get some names to Shannon.
Thank you.
Caitlin Kinder is the worker. Mr. Way for the petitioner. Rebecca represents mom. Ken represents dad. And that's everyone present.
Ivan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ivan is LGAL. Pardon me. Okay, well, good. That settles that. We'll see you back here for our scheduled trial date, September 23, 8:30, so 2 weeks from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There's a residential report up there that I just got this morning.
Oh, here it is, okay. Okay, next up is Montrell Johnson. I think I saw, is he at Eagle Village?
Yes.
And let's see, Joy Jennings. There she is. Okay, counsel, identify yourselves for the record.
Matt Wade, Prosecutor's Office.
Joy Jennings, Jackson DHHS.
Ivan Brown, LGAL.
Barry Forshey with Eagle
right.
Village.
Okay, so how is Montreal doing? Brown?
Sorry.
Well, it doesn't look, it looks like we're in the same situation that we've been through for quite some time. Mariah is dealing with a whole lot of mental health issues, and hopefully Eagle Village can address some of those. I'm concerned, but I agree with the plan. Thank you.
And Ms. Forshee?
At this time, I'm sure the court is aware that Montrell is currently absent without legal permission. He's been gone since September 6th with another male youth. We're coordinating with law enforcement, as well as have left voicemails with Montrell's mom in case he makes contact with her, has done the same with the other youth's mom. So at this time, he is not here in our care. And I've been keeping in touch with Ms. Jennings on that. Overall, though, I submitted a court report, but it was quite late. I apologize to the court for that. So I can make sure.
I do have that.
Okay.
I do have that.
Yeah, so we've had pretty extreme behaviors over this reporting period. He kind of is very black and white. He vacillates between extreme behaviors of being assaultive and then demonstrating insight. When he first came to us, he had pretty severe PTSD, and I believe that has been reduced to more of a mild PTSD. Despite that, though, for example, on August 31st, he chased a girl down the female hall and physically assaulted her. And then this is the 6th AWOL since he's been at Eagle Village. And so we will continue, to work with him. But what's happened too is there's a correlation when he's engaged with his mom and he and his mom are talking. There was about a 6 to 7 week period during July when his behaviors were really well and he was addressing his mental health issues and we were making progress. And that was pretty much when him and his mom were communicating consistently. And then when he senses rejection from his mom in any fashion, he will go black and white and not call her anymore. We have observed mom being emotionally abusive on the phone calls with him on several occasions. While Montrell tends to maintain a calm during those calls. And he's just very confused. He's a kid that vacillates between presenting as a female and presenting as a male. And there's deeper core issues that we're doing our best to address.
Ma'am, did you file a police report or were the police called?
Yes.
On the incident?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think I've signed an order to apprehend. Do you need me to sign one? I don't see one in the file.
I'm not certain. I don't think we've had to have that in the past.
Maybe the procedure's a little different at Eagle Village, but normally when we have a youth under court jurisdiction who disappears from court-ordered placement, that's the first awareness that I have of it is somebody asked me to sign in order to apprehend. So I'm happy to sign that.
I think that's a good plan.
I will forward documentation to you soon. I was not aware of this until this morning due to the holiday. And since we had the court hearing, I haven't been able to work on the documentation for the AWOL yet.
Any modifications to the recommendations, Ms.
No.
Jennings, based upon this morning's disclosures? Any objections to those recommendations?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. I will order them. We'll set our next review hearing for November 10th at 8:45 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Nicholas Stryker. I see Mr. Stryker. And let's see, our worker is Amanda Miller. Get her in. Okay, Mr. Hotchkiss, you're LGAL on this file.
And Your Honor.
Ms. McCluskey, you represent the father.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hotchkiss, how's Leslie doing?
Your Honor, Leslie's the father, Nicholas is the child. I've attempted to contact Mr. Stryker, but the phone number that I have says not accepting calls. I have reviewed the report though, and I know that Nicholas has been doing well in his care. It looks like they're recommending case closure, and I'm in support of that. Thank you.
And Shannon, I don't know if I indicated, Mr. Stryker is present as well as Amanda Miller. And is that still your recommendation, Ms. Miller?
Yes, it is.
Very well. I will sign that order today. Congratulations, Mr. Stryker. You're done with the court. I wish you well, sir.
Thank you,
How's,
Your Honor, and,
how's Nicholas doing?
he's doing good. He's asleep right now because he did have a nightmare last night, so he was up pretty late. But he's been doing very well. I have been I'm in contact with the foster parents as well, keeping that relationship going strong. So.
Good. I'm glad that you're doing that, sir. I think that's for Nicholas's long-term benefit. I do wish you well, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. And we're a little bit early for post terms. I guess we can see if everybody's here.
Your Honor, can you let me know if the Patrick Allard Highland Miners was set for this morning? My notes reflected that it is set, but it's not on the court calendar, and I know that Ms. Patrick was on Zoom.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. My notes say today too, but the order says in 2 weeks, I think. And I think the agency is looking, they're not comfortable closing the case right now anyway, so it might just make sense to keep the date on in 2 weeks or 2 months, the regular date.
The court
2 months.
report said 9/8 is a court date, so.
Yeah, it's not on my docket this morning, so I'm not quite sure why that would be the case. But yeah, it's not on the docket, so I'm going to let Ms. Patrick know. What is our next date on Patrick?
November 3rd.
November 3rd? All right, let me let her in just to let her know that. Who was the worker on that one, Matt?
State was not
It's
on our calendar, so-
Lindsay Coon, but I think Dana Sprague is filling in for her.
All right, I'll let her in too.
No, let me see it.
Okay, Ms. Patrick?
Yes.
And Ms. Sprague, I'm not quite sure what the confusion is, but this case is not on my docket today. It's not up until November 3rd. I wanted to
because
let you both
we
know
were
that
only supposed to
because
do this for a month.
Yeah, they wanted to get some drug screens done, Your Honor, and then if they came back, we could close it out.
And the agency's not comfortable closing the case out right now, and given that it's
Well,
not.
in any event, it needs to be on my docket so that everybody is prepared to address it. It's not. The next court date is November 3rd. Ms. Patrick, what I suggest is you get a hold of your attorney. I would consider allowing an early review hearing, but it needs to be on the docket. I can't just address a case that's not scheduled for today.
We
So
did.
get a hold of your attorney. If after you speak with he or she, him or her, they certainly have the ability to ask for an early hearing. Okay.
Your Honor, we do. I have it in my calendar for today at 9.
I do too.
Yeah, because
think-
we're supposed to be done with that.
I think that might have been said on the record, but the order definitely says November 3rd. I looked at it this morning.
And we go by the orders. So I'm sorry if I created some confusion with something I said on the record, but in any event, it's the order that governs. And the order says November 3rd. Like I said, if you want to get an earlier date, talk to your attorney. He can request one, but I cannot hear the case today. Have a good day, man.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And we are still early. I'm gonna keep the meeting room and the live stream going. Shannon, you can take us off the record.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a short break and then I'll come back at 9:45.
Time is your hair. I mean, they'll let you cash it in deposit, but I don't know if they'll let you. A lot of. That doesn't help you get money out of that check. No. What's that? That
Yep.
Got your core rules manual? What is that called?
Pocket park.
So what happens is at the very back, yeah, you peel that off and stick it in the back. I usually attach it to the back cover.
Right on here.
Yeah,
Thanks, George.
you're welcome. Your very first pocket.
Special.
Put it on my plate. I'm not getting-
What's wrong with this thing?
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready for the matter of, I'm sorry, put us on, Shannon. Matter of Jordan Harbert. Okay, we're still making a connection with Jordan.
We're here, Your Honor.
Okay, good. All All right, could everyone please identify themselves for the record?
Joy Jennings, Jackson DHHS.
Ivan Brown, attorney, special advocate for.
Mike Kelly, guardian ad litem.
Dr. Paris Miller, program director, and in lieu of Casey Nadler.
Is that name, Shannon?
No, I just put program director.
Okay. And Jordan, good morning, Jordan. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good, thank you. So let me hear first from Mr. Kelly.
Your Honor, I spoke with Jordan. He indicates he's looking forward to school resuming. Essentially, is a fan of learning, but not a fan necessarily of work, which is understandable. I'm not sure if it's reflected in both court reports, but he did go from a level 1 to a level 2, which brings with it more privileges. So he's making progress in that regard. He likes working with, also with his worker there at Havenwick. So those are some things that we didn't have present at Lakeside. So that's encouraging moving forward. I've reviewed the report and I have no objection to the recommendations.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, I'll just reiterate, it's our opinion that we think that Jordan would make far more progress in a less restrictive means with family than in an institution. And I'll continue to make that argument, and that'll continue to be our perspective, that we just believe he can receive those type of services on an outpatient basis, living in a family structure. And I just think it's doing more harm than good. Thank you.
Ms. Jennings, do you have anything to add to your report?
My main update was that he reached level 2, so he is making some progress.
I'm actually quite encouraged to see progress. Doctor, was there anything you wanted to place on the record?
No, Your Honor.
Jordan, is there anything you'd like to say?
I think that I've actually done a lot better. I made my level 2. I am back for my group, and I've been opening up with my therapist. So I think that's a good step forward. So all I have to say.
Well, Jordan, I'm very pleased to see that you're making progress. You've been up and down a lot throughout the time that you've been in care. I don't relish keeping you there. On the other hand, I want to see you succeed, and you're being given the kind of tools that you're going to need that you were frankly deprived of by the home that we had to remove you from. There's a lot of obstacles that were inflicted on you that were not obviously your fault, that you need to continue to learn how to process. I'm glad to see that you're making progress. I hope that it continues. I wish you the very best. We will set our next review hearing for well, if I can open the page, November 24th at 9:45. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day, Jordan.
You too, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Is that one of my orders up there with the yellow sticky note on it?
No, it's a judgment of divorce
Okay.
form.
Making sure.
Okay, next up, Prater Hickman minors. Let's see. We need to let Sharon Ernst in for this. Who's LGAL on this file?
I am, Your Honor. Rebecca McCluskey.
Okay, and we're still making a connection with Ms. Ernst. We'll wait till that's complete before we move forward.
Judge, I'll be right at 2 seconds.
I just let James Prater into the room. And we're making that connection. Okay, we're still making a connection. Ms. Ernst, are you aware of anyone else that's wishing to participate in this proceeding?
Pamela Freeberg, the adoption worker.
Oh, okay, let me find her. All right, we'll let her in. Looks like we've made all of our connections. President Sharon Ernst, Pamela Freeberg, James Prater, and Ms. McCluskey. Ms. McCluskey, how are all these children doing?
Your Honor, I believe that we're on the docket this morning for an early review pertaining only to Trenton, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe
Actually, that sounds right. Now that you mention it, that's what we were struggling with, was Trenton's situation and his unwillingness to move forward with placement with his uncle. Has there been any progress made there?
oh, sorry.
Sadly, no, Your Honor. To no fault of Mr. Prater's or Trenton's, therapy the last 4 weeks has been canceled, I believe, at least twice. So that was what we were kind of hoping on, is that after the progress we saw with the first visit Mr. Prater was able to attend with Trenton, the first therapy session, that it would show progress throughout the last month, and that has not been able to be as productive as we had hoped.
COVID problems or something else?
I believe it's something else, Your Honor. I know Trenton's therapist has some personal health issues going on, and I dabbled with the idea of asking for a new therapist, but then my fear would be a brand new therapist would want to build rapport with Trenton, and we would be back at square one with waiting until Trenton was comfortable with a new therapist to then bring in Mr. Prater again. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place with how to proceed timely.
Mr. Prater, what's your view of how things are proceeding?
I think that we've made some progress. I've had 2 sessions with Trenton and the therapist since the last court hearing, and they've gone well. Trenton's been more open to discussing the move than he has been in the past. He's been over here a handful of times. He actually stayed here the entire weekend for the Labor Day weekend. We went up to, he stayed here Friday. We went up to Silver Lake Sand Dunes Saturday. And then we had a family kayaking and canoe trip on the river Sunday with his sisters and some cousins, some other family. He stayed from Friday through last night. Took him home last night. He had been out here a day prior to that. So I've talked to him about the move and kind of trying to get a feel for where he's at compared to where he was before, being resistant to moving. He's been recently he's been more open to talking about it, and I think he understands that a move needs to happen soon. And there's been good progress. I'm just not sure how he'll react when that time comes, when he's told he does have to leave the college and his foster home.
You're still of a mind that he needs to decide, yes, this is the right thing and I want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's best. That would be best for my relationship with him and for him coming here. I think there's been some progress on that. In talking to him recently in the last couple of weeks, he seems to realize that that's what's going to happen. And Kimberly has told me he's made some comments about living here to her. So I don't want to speak for her, but there are signs. I do think he understands that it's what has to happen. He's just trying to take advantage of the situation. At least in the past, he's taken advantage of the situation to stay there as long as possible. I have asked for the trauma assessment be done, just because of the way he did act out and when he was last in school, the problems that he was having. Just to see what was affecting him. Was it losing his parents, or was it having to move again from a place he was now used to? So we're still waiting for that. The last update I had from Pam was that was still being scheduled with Dr. Henry, the trauma assessment. But that's one thing I've talked to the therapist about is how do we know once he starts going back to school full time, that he's not going to do the same thing he did last year, where he was on the verge of being expelled.
So, in your view, we're making good progress, and the best course, from your perspective, is to continue with the therapy, continue the visits, and hopefully, with the efforts of the therapist, convince him that this is indeed the best thing for him, that it's a good move for him. Certainly, our next review hearing is on November 3rd. If he's ready to move before then, obviously you don't need anything from me to make that happen, because he's placed with the agency. That would be great. Ms. Ernst, do you have anything to add?
Just to update Mr. Prater on the trauma assessment, Mr. Henry directly called me himself. I was talking to Ms. Freeberg about it not long ago. We continue to play phone tag with what are business hours and what are not. I continue to get phone calls at 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. I call him back the next day. This week, I will make an effort to leave my phone on late into the evening to hopefully intercept that phone call. He's not the one that will schedule the assessment, but as he is kind of head of the trauma assessment department, I think he just wants to have input as to why we're asking not only to reschedule it, but why we're asking to kind of modify where it happens, try to have the assessment team come to Jackson, since Trenton is refusing to kind of even get in the car to go to the assessment center. And sadly, I anticipate Trenton refusing to cooperate with the assessment, but if that happens, at least the people that do the assessment can see the behavior that we're talking about, can see how quickly it flips, can see how quickly it shifts, the way it exemplifies. And if that's the best we can get in that time frame, then we can always reschedule it once he's in Mr. Prater's home. It's possible the assessment center may only charge us like a partial bill, since it's not a full assessment, and we can do the latter half later. But I will make an effort to leave my phone on late this week to intercept Mr. Henry's phone call to get that scheduled.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear there's progress being made.
I'd just like to add.
Go ahead, sir.
We've been waiting on the assessment since as far back as January. And if Trenton refuses to go, they tried to take him before and he refused to go. I'm just, what's the backup plan if he refuses to get in the car to go to this appointment for the assessment? And that's what I'm worried about, is when he sees that he can just run away from everything, it reinforces that he can do what he wants pretty much. And that I think it's just going to make things harder. And if there's not a backup plan, I think it's going to impact the progress he's made. If he's not if he doesn't have to if he can get his way and get out of it. There's no, not held accountable.
I mean, what consequences realistically do you have at your disposal, Mr. Ernst, if he resists again?
We don't. That's just it. We cannot force Trenton to do this. We are trying to make accommodations to, if Trenton isn't comfortable going to Kalamazoo because maybe he'll feel trapped or forced, okay, then just come to the office. And if you don't want to talk, just give it an hour. Sit in the room with the assessment individuals for just an hour. If you don't want to talk, we'll leave after an hour. Give him a sense of understanding and control, because what seems to happen best with Trenton is we don't want to let him run the show and reward him for this behavior, but we also know that once Trenton adapts to change, he tends to cooperate fully and feel more comfortable. So our hope is by bringing the assessors into an environment that Trenton is familiar with, it gives him a sense of peace and comfort for him to, albeit slowly, adjust enough to cooperate with the assessment. But if he refuses to talk and leaves the room and we take him home, there's no repercussions. We can't, we can try to reschedule it for a third time, but we can't discipline other than verbally say, you know, this is really disappointing. This is something we really need to do. I'm not sure. And I think that's part of why the assessment center and DHS has been, Corona delayed it the most, but that's part of why it hasn't been scheduled, is because we don't want to deceive Trenton by bringing him to the office unknowingly and surprising this. But we also don't want to reward his behavior and say, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And then we're back at square one. I think our hands are just kind of tied with how to proceed.
Well, I assume at the foster parent's home, if he disobeys, that there are consequences for that.
He seems to be, the most effective consequence was getting his tablets taken away and not being allowed to play with his friends. But at the height of Trenton's behavior, he literally said, I don't care, have my phone, have my tablet, have my electronics, I'm not going to my uncle's house. And he didn't care what happened to him. And I think it was at that point that Mr. Prater said, show him how much more difficult it could be, you know, at a residential placement or something, which was a good alternative idea, but the state just doesn't allow us to do that. So as far as him refusing to cooperate, it can get his electronics and stuff taken away, but at a certain point, Trenton just doesn't care.
Well, I would certainly utilize whatever consequences you can use. Sure. If he continues to resist. I mean, I'm assuming that the Trauma Assessment Center has encountered situations in the past where youth are resistant to participating in assessment. I mean, how have they handled those situations in the past?
I think typically,
or do they just say that's not up to us? You get them here, right, we'll do an assessment. That's not our job.
I think typically they tried multiple different tactics once the kids are to get them to engage. Sometimes it's just the friendly approach. Let's just sit in a room, and kids don't even know they're being assessed with the type of dialogue they're engaging in. But our director, Zoe Lyons, who has a good bond with Dr. James Henry, has asked, can the assessment team come to Jackson? Possibly even do the assessment at Trenton's house. That way, if he gets too worked up and overwhelmed, he can say, I need 10 minutes and go to his room. But again, the fear of that is that's the freedom he was given at school last year, and he manipulated that and would stay in the room for hours on end. So we're trying to be open-ended.
Is there any way his therapist could be equipped to do the assessment under the auspices of a therapy session?
I do not know. I can ask Dr. Henry about that when I speak to Dr. Henry, but I don't know if it's just like a psychological form that they fill out. I know there's parts of that, but I also know there's a bonding assessment, there's dialogue with the kids, there's games they play. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we are making some progress. That's good. We should continue to work hard to get the trauma assessment done. The more tools that we can have at our disposal to deal with Trenton's past and help him work through those things, the greater the opportunity for his success moving forward. So I'm going to keep our next hearing date on November 3rd at 9:45. If anything should require my attention before that, just let Shannon know. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Prater, for your participation.
Thank you.
Have a good day, folks. Okay, next up is Brody Smith. I don't see Ms. Henry. And I don't see Maria Holden. Let me see if there's other names on this file. I've got Danielle Lagore. And let's see, and Maria Kleckner. You must just had the wrong names on the form.
Good morning.
Okay, this is a post-term hearing for Brody Smith. Could each of you identify yourselves for the record?
Danielle Lagore, Family Service and Children's Aid. I'm the foster care worker.
Maria Kleckner from Family Service and Children's Aid. I'm the adoption worker on the case.
Mike Kelly, guardian ad litem.
Mr. Kelly, how's Brody doing?
Your Honor, I left a voicemail for placement on September 2nd, but did not receive a return call. I reviewed the report. I have no objection to the recommendations.
Do either of you have anything to add to your reports?
No, sir, I do not.
I do not.
December still look realistic for finalization?
Yes.
Great. Well, we'll continue moving forward towards that. Next review hearing will be November 3 at 9:45. Thank you.
Thank you.
You doing all right over there, Mr. Brown?
Pardon me?
You doing okay? You got the Rona over there?
No, I just had a little tickle in my throat. No, I've had no human contact for a long time.
That's what my nephew asks me every time I cough, if I got the Rona.
Nope, I go with the old folks to the grocery store at 6 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody there.
Okay, this is the matter of Darnell Miller. Is this a dependency petition?
Yes,
it
Your Honor.
is.
Okay, and I've got a William Whitman in the waiting room. Is he on this file?
No.
Okay, I don't know who he is. We'll just keep him there. Okay, Ms. McCluskey, you're LGL on this file?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, and I have not had a chance to look at this petition yet. Let me do that. Well, based upon the allegations in the petition, it certainly appears that the basis exists for the court to adjudicate based upon dependency. Ms. Miller, you are Darnell's mother?
Your Honor, she's his adoptive mother. I'm representing Miss Miller. She should be on call. I saw her name up there. There she is.
She is. Looks like we just finally made a sound connection.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Miller, you are the adopted mother for Darnell?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Since we have no respondents identified, the adjudication should be a pretty simple matter. We've got it scheduled for, we scheduled a pretrial into trial. I don't think we're going to need a pretrial on this, are we? Why don't we just schedule it for a trial?
That makes sense to me, Your Honor.
No objection.
Shannon, you had set the pretrial for 10:20. Let's just go ahead and set the trial for 10:20.
Okay, 1 o'clock.
Trial will be October 20th at 1 o'clock. Anything else the court needs to address today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. That completes our hearings today.
Thank
Could
you.
we talk real briefly about tomorrow off the record?
Sure, let me turn off the live stream.